So, over the last 2 days, I've been learning about NE10, and NE10 is an automation app online. If you don't know about it, let's just stop. So, over the last 2 days, I've been learning about NE10, and NE10 is an automation app online. If you don't know about it, let's just stop. Yeah, basically, I went through Alex. My plan. I went through Alex Hormozi's $100 million leads after going through phenomenal. I went through Alex Hormozi's $100 million leads after going through $100 million offers, of course, those who know. The books are amazing. They're absolutely phenomenal, and if you know who Alex Hormozi is, basically he's an entrepreneur, and due to the unique situation of his job, he basically is inclined to make other people rich and have their association of their gain of wealth with him. So basically he releases a book, and the book is just amazing, and it gives you so much insight into how to gain wealth and how going through $100 million offers, of course, those who know. The books are amazing. They're absolutely phenomenal, and if you know who Alex Hormozi is, basically he's an entrepreneur. Basically he releases a book, and the book is just amazing, and it gives you so much insight into how to gain wealth and how to do well with your company, that when you put in the action and you do well with your company and you make it past a certain threshold of how much you're making per year, then you can work with him and he'll scale your company and take equity in your company. And so that's his core offer. He explains in his lead generation book, the second book, called $100 Million Leads, that you need a lead magnet, and he explains that his books are his lead magnet for his actual core offer. So you need a lead magnet to get people to trust you, to get people engaged in what you're doing. So you give them an offer that's so stupid that they feel stupid saying no to, but so good. So yeah, I've been thinking about that. So so you give them an offer that's so stupid that they feel stupid saying no to, but so you're doing. So you give them an offer that they feel stupid saying no to, but so you give them an offer that they feel that they feel stupid saying no to. You give them an offer that they feel stupid saying no to, but so good. So yeah. Offer that they feel stupid saying no. Offer that they feel stupid saying. Offer that they feel stupid saying no to. That they feel stupid saying no to, but so good. So yeah, I've been thinking about that. So what we're going to do with our AI agency is we're going to take, we're going to go to I've been thinking about that. So, no to, that's so good. So yeah, I've been offer that's so stupid that they feel stupid saying no to, that's so good. So yeah, I've been thinking about that. So what we're going to do with our AI agency is we're going to take we're going to go to so stupid saying no to, that's so good. I've been thinking about that. So what we're going to do with our AI agency is we're going to take we're going to go to warm leads. So he says start with warm leads. Thinking about that. So what we're going to do with our AI agency, we're going to go to warm leads. So he says start with warm leads, and this is the one downside to online business. This is the one thing that I with online leads. So he says start with warm leads, and this is the one downside to online business. This is the one thing that I'd say with online business is that people don't tell you. You should be going to people who you know to start. You shouldn't be going online. You should be finding your first clients in person and doing it for free and saying, I want to do this for free for you. I just want a testimonial. And then you get a testimonial, you get a picture of you with them, and then they will also word of mouth spread, just give you enough money that you can hopefully start move to part-time if you're in a current job, or you can quit that current job and find another part-time job, or hopefully quit it altogether. And you can do that through just warm outreach. So asking people you know if they know anyone who'd be interested in your services or your product. Simple as that. That's what you should be doing, in my opinion. And then what you can get is testimonials up front, and what you can get is goodwill and a good reputation. You can also film the process. So another thing you can leverage by just doing warm outreach is filming the process. So you film front to back your service, and then people will see the details of the service. They don't have to remember it, but you're just going to gain their trust, and that's awesome. So that's what we're going to leverage. We're going to go to a couple of charities. One of them I'm already working for, I'm doing some web design for, so that's going to be awesome. That's going to be number one. And they're well known where I am. So one of them is especially well known. They went into my school, so I knew them before. I knew Sue, who runs it, before Sue knew me. So we're going to go to her, just explain we want to do this for free, Sue, and we know it could help you out, which is awesome. So yeah, put some automation. You warm leads. So he says start with warm leads, and this is the one downside to online business. This is the one thing that I'd say with online business is that people don't tell you. You should be going to people who you know to start. You shouldn't be going online. You should be finding your first clients in person and doing it for free and saying, I want to do this for free for you. I just want a testimonial. And then you get a testimonial, and then they will also word of mouth. You get a picture of you with them, and then they will also word of mouth spread, just give you enough money that you can hopefully start move to just enough money just give you enough money that you can hopefully start move to part-time if you're in a current job, or you can quit that current job and find another part-time job, or hopefully quit it altogether. And you can do that through just warm outreach. So asking people you know if they know anyone who'd be interested in your services or your product. Simple as that. That's what you should be doing, in my opinion. And then what you can get is testimonials up front, and what you can get is goodwill and a good reputation. You can also film the process. So another thing you can leverage by just doing warm outreach is filming the process. So you film front to back your service, and then people will see the details of the service. They don't have to remember it, but you're just going to gain their trust, and that's awesome. So that's what we're going to leverage. We're going to go to a couple of charities. One of them I'm already working for, I'm doing some web design for, so that's going to be awesome. That's going to be number one. And they're well known where I am. So one of them is especially well known. They went into my school, so I knew them before. I knew Sue, who runs it, before Sue knew me. So we're going to go to her, just explain we want to do this for free, Sue, and we know it could help you out, which is awesome. So yeah, put some automations in, add some AI to the workflow, and if anything, you know, that can be something that I'm managing because I'm already working within her business. And then we'll have number one. Yeah, put some that's going to be awesome. That's going to be number one. Yeah, put some automations in, add some AI to the workflow, and if anything, you know, that can be something that I'm managing because I'm already working within her business, her charity. So, you know, that's awesome. So yeah, through that we're going to film the whole process. We're going to film going to our house. We're going to film setting up the workflow. So yeah, through that we're going to film the whole process. We're going to film going to our house. Yeah, put some automations in, add some AI to the workflow, and if anything, you know, that can be something that I'm managing because I'm already working within her business, her charity. So, you know, that's awesome. Her charity. So, her charity. So yeah, through that we're going to film the whole process. We're going to film going to our house. We're going to film setting up the workflow, and we'll build up this array of content. We'll do that for our first 5 clients, I reckon. Do it completely for free, and then we'll have loads of content. We'll have loads of testimonials, 5 stars. It'll be awesome. It'll shoot up our next client's perceived likelihood of success. They will trust us so much, and then we'll be able to charge them, but with 80% off what we want our base price to be. Then we'll move to 60, then we'll move to 40, then we'll move to 20. And the reason why we do those metrics is because it's linear. So the way we're moving is very predictable. So it doesn't look like we're doing anything dodgy. It doesn't look like we're moving from completely free to 100% off, like 100% of the price. But it also, so it moves us nicely, it moves us slowly, where we're going, you know, kind of 75% off, and then 50, and then hold on, this guy who I know, this guy who I know, I'm not going to have someone turn around and say, hold on, like 100% of the price. But you're not going to have someone turn around and say, hold on, this guy who I know very well, you've charged him more money, less money, and what's that about? So a really simple, less money, and what's that about? So it's a really simple one to explain. Slowly decreasing the price, that about? So it's a really simple one to explain. Slowly decreasing the price like that, you know, going from 100 off to, you know, 0% off. I think we're now in the working phase. I think that's a little bit silly. So it also doesn't leverage supply and demand. So, you know, if people through word of mouth find out that you're doing your services for a reduced rate while you know, benefit from that, while you gain testimonials and gain trust, people are going to jump on that. They're going to be like, that's awesome, we're going to try and implement your services, because why the hell not? We understand what you're doing, we understand you're trying to gain testimonials, so we're going to get your services for a reduced rate. So, you know, all this stuff, it has compounding effects, and then you can go online and you can say, we've already worked for tons of people, this is what we do. You're also just can go online and you can say stuff, it has compounding effects, and then reduced rate. So, you know, all this stuff, it has, we're going to get your services for a reduced rate. So, you know, all this stuff, it has compounding effects, and then you can go online and you can say, we've already worked for tons of people, this is what we do. So even if it's like 100% of the price, and what's that about? 100% off, 50% off to, you know, 0% off. I think that's too much. You might as well just literally go, our first 5 clients were just to get testimonials. We don't necessarily want a testimonial in the. It also doesn't leverage supply and demand, so and it's low online, and you can say, we've already worked for tons of people, this is what we do. You're also just going to get good at what you do, effects, and then you can go good at what you do through working for people. So start off with Warm Mead, start off with doing things for people you already know. That is a definite piece of advice I would give. and as low friction as you can. So even if it's literally your dad or your family, say, this is what we did. The important part is, you know, leveraging the things that no one can argue with. So even if you did like a pretty mediocre job for your band, for example, if you just film the whole, even if you did like a pretty mediocre job for your so even if you did like mediocre job for your nan, for example, if you just film the whole process, like, it'll show you went from A to B. As I said, they don't care about the details, they just want the trust. So just leverage the trust in that video, and that's what you're going to gain forevermore. And that's content that you'll be able to put out and make interesting, and make it content that people will be curious about and watch the whole way through. So that's the idea, man. If you know, you can't, it's hard to make content that's remote when you compare it to a physical thing. You can't, you know, having a physical conversation, that stands out when so many people are, you know, for example, look at LinkedIn as a dynamic example. Like, if you film what you're doing on LinkedIn to get cold outreach, if you're a cold outreach agency, say this is what we do, like, you're just going to look like an idiot. If you're making videos, that's cool. But if you're doing text, no one's going to care, because everyone's making, because if you make it with ChatGPT, that's low effort. If you don't make it with ChatGPT, what are you doing? I don't want to hire you. I can do a better job with ChatGPT will do a better job than you, and it will do it faster, and it will do exactly what I want as a client. So, you know, it's dependent, but at the same time, if you can do something for people in person, or if you can go somewhere and say, hey, if you can do something for people in person, or if you can go somewhere and say, hey, I have this software, then why not do that? Why not do that? It will certainly incite curiosity. So that's that. We're going to go to people. Our lead magnet after that, after we do things for free to get people in, is we're actually just people in person. Or if you can go somewhere and say, hey, I have this software, then why not do that? Why not do that? After that, do that. Why not do that? Our lead magnet after that, after we do things for free to get people in, is we're actually just going to keep giving away things for free. So the things that we're going to do for people for free is we're going to build like one automation, just because, like, why would we build like 5 for them for free? There's kind of no point. We'll still be able to give them, they'll still be able to give us a testimonial, because the fact is, AI is so good and it's already highly leverageable. So like, why would we give them like 5 great automations when they'll be happy with just one for free? Kind of thing. We want to give them a crazy amount of value and blow their minds to create like a customer surplus, I guess is what it's called in economics, but goodwill, to put it simply, to make them like us, so they'll go and talk to other people and feel the need to go talk to other people, because we've over-delivered essentially. So we want to stack that up, but there's no point, you know, working harder than we need to referral, and then we can over-deliver for them. And they'll have more investment if they pay us, kind of thing. So, hope that makes sense. Kind of rambling a bit, but our lead magnet then is to give away 1 core offer for free. Lead magnet then, kind of rambling a bit, but our lead magnet then, really hard, actually. Kind of rambling a bit, but our lead magnet then is to give away 1 core offer for free. So if we go to a client and we highly benefit from... What the hell? Then is to give away 1 core offer for free. So if we go to a client...
Zaddy chill. What's this? Oh, generative extend. Why can't I, like, AI cut? You know what I mean? Smart dictation. I might just spam smart dictation on it.
See within their business, they just highly benefit from certain automations or certain AI agents kind of thing being implemented, we'll give them one for free. One of the really hard give away one core offer for free. So if we go to a client and we see within their business they just highly benefit from certain automations or certain AI agents kind of thing being implemented, we'll give them one for free, one of the really high value things for them for free, but they won't get any of the other bonuses that we can give for free. We won't be doing, for example, paid ads, we won't be doing that for them. It will just be one build out for free, and then that's just an absolute no-brainer. Like, it's just zero cost, like getting our name on the board, and we'll explain, we'll say in our content, we'll say in our messaging, we'll say in our meetings, we're doing this to almost get customer market share. I'd love to hear what you guys think behind the camera about the very essence of like the dialect. So if I go to someone and I say, like, we are doing this because we want to build trust, I think that's 100% A-okay. But if I go to someone and say, we're doing this because we're doing this because I want to gain market share, it's like, hold on, what does that really mean? They're not going to A-okay. But if I go to someone and say, we're doing this because we're doing this because I want to gain market share, they're not going to direct. If I go to someone and say, we're doing this because I want to gain market share, it's like, hold on, what does that really mean? They're not going to directly care about that. They're going to go, that's smart. But it's kind of like, okay, where do I sit in that? They're going to be thinking that, and they're not really going to be able to calculate that because they don't, understand the product. And that's the whole thing we're leveraging. So what's the in-between? I think saying we want to gain your trust is cool, but then they're going to be thinking, okay, but what else are you trying to do? Trying to get my contact information? I don't know. So what do you guys think about the customer psychology on that level? Like, hold on, he's giving away something for free. Because also there's a risk factor. If we implement something into their business, and then they're going to think, well, we're actually doing all right now. We understand that AI is on the way, but you guys are young. We're not sure we want to trust you. So I'd love to hear what you guys think about that, because that's an issue that is kind of infinite. When you think about it, like, there's just so many different reasons why people wouldn't want to buy. And we can figure so many of them out by hitting it head on, and that's what we're going to do. But I'd love to hear what you guys think up front about that. That would be really helpful. So, yeah, back to work. So,
They moving, shaking, Chelsea do the shit himself. Yeah, solo on that YOLO for real. Heard a lot about his name, don't know for real. Next time, guarantee the truth will get real. Black leather glove, no sequins. Logos on the jacket, that's elite shit. Nike crossbody, got a piece in. Got to dance, but it's really street. I'm just showing you.
Nice to see you.
Glasses are on. Come on! Zero views. Talk to me, talk to me, talk to me nice. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh baby.
API, and then it can actually go and retrieve specific events from my calendar and then return them here. So as you can see, I have this call, me and my buddy Zach, and it just has all of this information. Okay, great. How are you more generally? You know, I can also just chat with it like I'm chatting to ChatGPT or something like that. So I don't always have to use like the tool that I'm calling. And the idea is you basically stack on 3, 4, 5, 10, 15, 20 of these tools. Although I find in practice when you get past maybe 6 or 7, instead of calling a tool, what you want to do is you want to call another agent, which then decides to call a tool. It's basically like a big, almost like a search tree or something. But anyway, that's more or less the AI side of things. The last thing I'll mention here is this OpenAI node doesn't just have the message A model text action like we've been doing before. There's a variety of other things you can do. You can create an assistant, delete an assistant, list assistants, message assistants, update assistants, analyze images. You can generate images, generate audio. Like you have a ton that you can do here, which is pretty sweet. I go down to generate audio and I'll say, I don't know, Nick is awesome and very pretty. I generate it using the Nova voice, like this test step. Not only can I generate text and stuff like that, but I can also have this generate me an audio output I can then listen to. Variety of cool things you can do with this.
Nick is awesome and very pretty.
You're damn right I am. A variety of cool things you can do with this, but definitely don't sleep on the AI nodes. You know, don't just like stick to the one that I've shown you guys so far. Okay, great. So those are the foundational ones. In practice with AI, and you're probably going to be using these quite often. What I'll do next is talk about some nodes that modify flow. And here are a bunch more that like you're going to want to read their docs and add them to your toolkit. This is like an everyday sort of thing. The first is an if, the second is filter, the third is merge, and the fourth is split into batches. So let me show you guys a very quick and simple example of the if. If I go here, and then I had my own trigger, and I just want to trigger manually. Oh, I'm sorry, it looks like I already have one somewhere in here, right? So let's just repurpose this manual trigger for an example workflow, and then I'm going to build down below. This example trigger, I'm going to click it, and then what we're going to do is we're going to use the edit field. We're going to go down to JSON. This is just a... So let's just repurpose this manual trigger for an example workflow, and then I'm going to build down below. This example trigger, I'm going to click it, and then what we're going to do is we're going to use the edit field. We're going to go down to JSON. This is just a handy-dandy tool that allows you to set your own inputs and outputs. So I can now set my own output, and I can say first name, Nick, last name, Sarav. And if I test this, if I test my whole workflow, you'll see this broke because Sarav is not in quotes there. Gotta make sure that all of your strings are in quotes. If I check out the JSON, you see the output of this module is now first name, Nick, last name, Sarav. Okay, I'm just gonna pin this. Now let's say I want to do something else. You know, if the input is Nick, I want to do something really cool. I want to provide prize. I don't know, $100. If the input is Nick, I want to go through my sequence, and then I want to generate another variable called prize, and I want to have it be $100, okay? But I only want to do that if the input is Nick. If the output is something else, then I want to have my prize be just $5. So Nick gets all the prizes here. He's very greedy. Okay, so how do you actually implement this sort of logic? Well, the simplest way is if I click this plus button and I just type if, you'll see I'll have this node pop up that says if route items to different branches, true or false. So I'm going to add that in there, and what I'm going to say is if first name, which by the way, we can still just drag if we wanted to. We could say if first name is equal to Nick, then proceed through the true node, which is up here. And if not, we're going to want to proceed through this false node. Isn't that cool? So now we basically have two things that are occurring, okay? Prize up here was 100. Prize down here was 5. I'm going to click test workflow. This is now going to run. And I just want you guys to see what's happening. I clicked test workflow. We then edited our fields. We added Nick as the first name. We then went to the if, and then as we saw here, first name was equal to Nick. Meaning, oops, if I double click this again, the output is now only going down the true branch with one item.
If you feel like trading is a constant swing between almost got it and wrong again, know that you're not alone. Many people go through this. The market itself is not an easy thing, especially when you're alone with the chart. But
And then the upper branch was illuminated, it's green, and then that's how we get to edit fields with the prize equal to $100. Now if I change this, instead of Nick, if it's like Sally or something, and if we run this again, what you'll see is the data is flowing through here because I didn't unpin it, so it's unpin it. If we test this now, what you'll see is the data didn't go through the top route anymore, it went through the bottom route. Okay, great, so now with this example here, why don't we just pretend like we're emailing somebody? So I'll go draft an email. I'm going to create my thing here, and we'll say, congrats, you won Good expression. Then what I want is $Jason.prize right over here. So congrats, you won $5. How cool is that? See title, loser. Okay, great. And then I'm going to go here and I'm going to create a draft. Voila, I have it now. If I go back here to my SOS Media Queries page, it says congrats, you won $5. There's nobody to because we didn't set the email to, but pretty neat, huh? We get the same thing with this $100 field. Go over here, you'll see that I just copied like all of the same logic. It says congrats, you won Jason.prize. It's a gray out right now because there's no data coming in, but you'll see that it'll work if I change the input back to Nick. And if I test this, I'll see it'll follow the top route and then also send me an email. Okay, great. So now let's look to use the filter node. What I have here is I have my little first name, Nick, here. What I'd like to do instead is I'd like to just change this a little bit. So instead, we'll create an array of names. And inside of this, we'll have Sally, John, and then Nick. Okay? And so now if we test this, we see 3 entries in an array called names. We have our top level array, which contains an array of objects, and we have our object, and inside of that we have key, whose value equals a list of other objects or array of other objects. I know the terminology can be kind of a lot, and unfortunately, there are many ways to refer to the same thing. So if something doesn't make sense, just bear with me here and we'll in a moment. Okay, great. So let's say what we want to do, if this names array includes Nick, then I want to continue with the flow. So I'll go array, and what I want is I want to see if this array of names, feed that in here, contains, and I just want to say Nick. I'm going to test this out. What you'll see is that we've kept it because it does in fact contain Nick, which is pretty cool. If instead we wanted to see if it contains Peter, we test this. You'll notice that we are now following the discarded route. Okay, there's kept and then there's discarded. The thing is, it just goes down the same flow. Whereas if sort of split into two, there's a true and a false route. This one actually just like continues and proceeds down the same flow. If something matches the filter, it will continue. If something doesn't match the filter, then it won't. So what we could do, we just paste in this Gmail node. So we could basically build a very similar flow. But what we could do is, if it is kept, then we could send the prize of $100 instead. We could hard code that $100 in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to check to see if it's kept. Okay, so right now the name contains Peter. It's probably not going to be kept, right? It's a test workflow. It's going to stop right here. It does not proceed any further. If instead I change the filter so that it contains Nick, then we test it. What I see is we're going to move on and we're actually going to proceed with the rest of our flow. So this filter here just allows us to kind of stop if it doesn't match our condition or continue. You can add as many conditions as you want. You can go and or. You can add whatever sort of logic you'd like. I use array logic here too, but there's also a lot. There's like string. You can check to see if something exists or matches arrayx, number, date and time, Boolean, array. And then there's also a bunch of object ones as well. So that's filter, pretty straightforward, I would say. The last thing is two more. There's one called merge, and they're split into batches. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to have 2 routes or 2 outputs of a module, and then I'm going to combine them back into one, and I'll show you guys what I mean with this. Remember earlier how we had some HTTP requests? What I'm going to do is I'll go first name, Sally. Then I'm going to have, let's just say second name. Actually, let's go person 1, go person 2. Just for the purpose of this example, we're going to have 2 people. Person 1 Sally, person 2 is Nick, okay? Next what we're going to do is we're going to add an AI node. You know, down OpenAI, and I'm just going to message them all. Then here I'm going to say write a detailed, fun story about. What I'm going to do is I'll go, I don't know, person 1. So Jason.person1. This example is sort of silly, if I'm honest, because we could just hard code the names in there, but I just wanted to do this to show you guys how this logic of the merge node would work. I'm going to select GPT-4o. And then because it's just a very quick, easy example, I'm actually going to add a user prompt. Okay, so now I'm going to go and it's going to write me a fun story about Jason.person1. Person 1 was Sally, so we're going to see it in a second. Very fun. Thank you very much for the detailed story. Cue Jeopardy music. Cue other elevator music. Alright, it's taking its sweet ass time. Could be for a variety of reasons. I might have like a little bit of rate limit action going on my end just because of all the examples that I provided, but it could also be something else. I don't know. Let's see here. Okay, cool. Looks like it did once upon a time in the vibrant city of Elmsworth, where the streets hummed with the rhythm of hopeful dreams and endless possibilities. Okay, so we just wrote a cool story about Sally. What you can do in N8N is you can actually connect the same output to multiple future nodes. So what I've done is I have one over here which I'm going to rename write story about Sally. Then I have another one over here which I'm going to say write story about Nick. Then down over here, I'm going to say, write a story about person 2 instead of person 1, which is, now going to equate to Nick, right? If I test this step, same thing's going to happen. It's going to call GPT-4o. It's going to write me a cool story. The issue is, think about it logically. We now have 2 routes. We have one top route that writes a story about Sally, and the bottom route that writes a story about Nick. So if we wanted to do something with these stories, like I kind of have to repeat the same logic up here. Let's say I wanted to email this to somebody. Well, I have to Gmail up here. I also have to Gmail down here, right? I have to duplicate it. And it provides a pretty simple and easy built-in way to avoid that. It's called the merge node. So you can merge data of multiple streams once data from both is available. So if you just click on it, you'll see there's a mode append or combine or SQL query. I'm just going to stick with append for now. I'm just going to feed in these inputs. And in this way, what I can do is I can actually just write, one Gmail node here instead of 2. And maybe I can append both of these stories or something. But let me actually show you what this looks like now. I'm actually going to test this workflow from end to end. So you see it first does the top route, and you can see this is orange because it's like filling out the story about Sally right now. This is currently active. It's waiting to fill in the merge the second this is finished. And I think I probably should have set some character limit to the story because now I'm thinking I was probably writing a lot. Rip my tokens. And then after it's done with the story about Sally, it's going to go and it's just going to do the same thing, write a story about Nick. Now, hopefully this finishes before the next ice age. Okay, that's way too long, but just make sure you put in some sort of limits next time you do one of these calls, otherwise you'll be waiting here until the end of time. However, what we see as our final product is the top route completed and then populated the merge, and the bottom route also completed and populated the merge. Now, we had one item from the top route, one item from the bottom route. And we also carry forward one item from the top route, one item from the bottom route. What you'll see is the output of this merge is now 2 items instead of 1. The reason why it's 2 items is because we use the append. So now we have the story number 1, and we have the story number 2. Basically, we don't actually have to just output 2 things. We actually just output like 1 item instead. But because in N8N outputs are arrays of items, you have a choice there. Now, since we output 2 items, what we can do is we can add our little Gmail node, stick that down here, connect it. Then I'm just going to pin this.
So, what do you do
What do I do?
What I could do is I could email myself the story. I could do a story about, just because I backed myself into a corner here, I need to write kind of like a little bit more difficult of a line of code, but I don't have access to Nick here, right? Like I don't have access to a single variable that contains the value I'm looking for. This is person 1, Sally, person 2, Nick. So I mean, I could select person 1, but then my second run would also say Nick, right? So both of these would say story about Sally, even though they have different stories. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, I'll look at the actual story. So I'll go, I'm going to go to the merge. I'll look at the actual story here, which now that I think about it is actually just JSON. I'll go message, I'll go content. Then if it includes the term Nick, then I'm just going to return Nick. Otherwise, I'm going to return Sally. That's how that works. So if this contains Nick, I'll return Nick. If not, I'll return the term Sally. And this is just a kind of a shorthand way to use the if else logic, same as what we had before. So I'm just going to pop this puppy open. And let me take a look at the data. Story about Nick. Nick was an ordinary guy with an extraordinary dream. I wanted to become the first person to ride a unicycle all the way across the United States. And Sally, once upon a time, the quaint town of Lavender Hill. I think this was the one where I timed out or something because of the rate limit, unfortunately, so it doesn't look like it generated me anything more than once upon a time, the quaint town of Lavender Hill. But I'm sure we could, I could rerun this. Let me just make sure that the prompt is a little bit shorter. Less than 100 words. Let's just do that. And then good. Awesome. Should be good now to actually produce this puppy. Let me just go over here and delete these examples that I don't need in preparation for the next one. And cool. We warmed up 2 Gmails. Now we have a story about Sally, who's a curious hamster, and then I am a curious inventor. Lovely. Wonder why they use the term curious both times. But anyway, I hope you guys see now that like basically the merge connects 2 things together. The if statement sort of does the opposite, kind of creates 2 routes, right? Yeah, it's kind of neat when you contrast and compare them like that. So I believe now we have everything we need except for the split into batches run. Split into batches is kind of a little trickier of a thing to conceptualize. So I'm going to show you a real example from a source that I used to extract a bunch of data. So let me take a quick peek here at, maybe I'll do a depersonalization system. Yeah, so I created a video on a depersonalization system a while ago. And as part of it, what I'm doing is I'm waiting over here for data to come in through a webhook. I send in data to this webhook, and then I use it to call an API that gets a bunch of dataset items. And the dataset items are pretty big, right? As you can see over here, it's a bunch of data about specific leads. But notice how it says 128 items above, right? Anytime you output more than 1 item in N8N, what you can do is you could loop over every item. Then you could perform something individually on just that item. And then, once you're done with that, you could go back to the loop over and over and over and over again until you're completed. So in my case, I had a lot of items in this. I had 128 for Christ's sake, right? And what I wanted to do is I wanted to run my 5-column personalization flow, similar to what we saw earlier. And then I also wanted to add a row to my spreadsheet. Now, unfortunately, every time I did that, I consumed one API call, and a lot of these platforms have pretty intense rate limits. So instead of me, one issue I found very frequently was I just kept on getting timed out. It would say 400 error or 403 error or whatever. Basically, the gist of that is that I'm over the rate limit, and they're not going to allow me to make any more requests for a certain amount of time. So what I did instead is instead of me just submitting all of those requests simultaneously, I added this to a loop over items, and I added a designated wait node. The wait node is a simple node in N8N that allows you to wait for a certain number of seconds, in my case 5. And in this way, I was able to basically take one item, go from start to finish, wait 5 seconds, and then loop back, and then proceed with my next item. And I basically just went, one after the other, after the other, after the other, over and over and over and over again. So that's just to give you guys some context on what that actually might look like. If I go down here, and I set my items.
Okay. This is already useful.
Here, I'm just going to use a feature in N8N that allows you to automatically set like your own test data. So I'm going to say, there's this first item and then there's second item. And my data for that, where's the edit fields right over here? If I zoom way in, you'll see that I'm outputting 2 items, right? So what I can do is I can go loop over items, split in batches. You set the batch size to 1. What it'll do now is it will go first item and then second item. What it'll do is, when you add a loop over items, it immediately adds a replace me node, and this is what you're supposed to basically replace with the thing you want to do. So in my case, I just want to wait 5 seconds. So I'm just going to go over here and go wait. Wait exactly 5 seconds. What I want to do is, for the loop route, for the route that is going to be looping over my item, so basically for every item, you can think of this as, I want to wait, and I want to wait 5 seconds. Very cool. And then the output of this needs to feed back into the input. This is kind of like the tricky part. So when you go through a loop, I'm going to click a test workflow. I'm going to generate 2 items, and then I'm just going to pull 1 item out of that, and I'm going to wait 5 seconds. Then I'm going to go to the second item, and then I'm going to wait 5 seconds. Is this going to do anything? No. But notice that there's both a loop route and then there's a done route. And basically in N8N, once you're done with the loop route, it just automatically goes to the done route. So I could do something like this, and maybe I send myself an email, let's just draft. And then let's say, done looping. You successfully waited 10 seconds. Awesome. So we're going to wait 5 seconds, and then 5 seconds, and then we're going to Gmail, okay? So that's it. I'm going to test this workflow. That's the first 5 seconds here. And that's the second 5 seconds here. And once this is done, we can now send over an email draft, or queue up an email draft, I should say, which is right over here. I should note that I may have ran this twice. I feel like I just ran this twice. Looks like it's carrying all of these here. Oh yeah, sorry, it'll output all of the records that you feed it in, basically. So I fed it in 2 records, and the third run it went and fed both of those records in as input to my Gmail branch. What I could do is I could take these 2 items and I could convert it to just 1 item by combining them, and then I wouldn't have to deal with this, which is kind of neat. So that's probably what I would do in practice. I wouldn't actually proceed here with 2 items. I would just do 1. There's a really cool built-in way to do this in N8n, just called execute once. So if you just go to the settings page of any node and then just click execute once, you basically stop the multiple executions regardless of the number of elements that precede it. So I just clicked execute once. Instead of me sending 2 emails, now it's only going to send 1. That's run number 1. That's run number 2. Then it'll go and it'll feed 1 item as an output. So I refresh this now. Instead of 2, I'm only going to have 1. Quick and easy hack, and yeah, because we're building stuff live, hopefully you guys get to see the applications of this in real time as we put something together. Alright, so now I think we are at the point where we can realistically build out substantially more complicated flows. What I'm going to do now is basically run almost like a test of sorts, where we're going to take all the information that I just tried to shove into your brain, and we're going to use it to build out a flow that actually does something. This is worthwhile, a flow that I've sold many times before, it's a flow that's made people a fair amount of money. So this is what the flow looks like right now. I'm actually going to simplify it. I've decided to do it a little bit simpler, so of course the last like 20 minutes thinking about it. But basically, just keep things, make a long story short, there's this service out there called SOS, and I mentioned this at the beginning of the video. They send out like a query every this, which is kind of neat. So that's probably what I would do in practice. I would actually proceed here with 2 items.
This one needs more. I haven't done loads of stuff today. How much? I worked like 1 hour. 5 hours. Not enough really. That's all. Not enough. So tomorrow I will like I can keep the N8n training ticking over, but yeah, tomorrow's going to be all about everything I can do before approaching Sue, and then working out problems, figuring out what she'll need and stuff, all that boring stuff. It's not boring actually, it's quite exciting. And yeah, just what we can automate. So if I can't find anything, just go back to the content, look at different flows, see what will fit for her her charity. It's just finding that, we're searching for a product here, it's product searching. Looking for that product, offering it to her. If it's using Remplit, that's fine. If you use Remplit, it's very possible. All very easy. Just gotta lock in and start figuring out some solutions. Nice. Alright, my brain's pretty smashed, and the thing is, this is too valuable, so I should be doing this first thing in the morning. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna be doing tomorrow. This. Okay, so let me put in what I'm gonna do tomorrow. I'm gonna be no nuns instead. is a strat. Nice, man. Let's watch some brain rot. The day is over. Should have got up earlier. And that's the play. Someday I don't know how to feel.
As a video creator, our biggest enemy is time, and something that takes up a lot of time is color grading.
Criminal Mastermind is one of the most difficult challenges in all of GTA. In fact, it's so difficult that Rockstar gives you $10 million for finishing it. So how do you do it? Well, you have to complete all 5 original heists in order with the exact same crew without dying once. Now, if you've played these original heists, you know that sounds like absolute hell. And yeah, it can be, which is why I've never tried it until today. What you're about to watch is my first ever attempt at this challenge with 3 viewers from my live stream chat as we try to do the impossible first go. Can we do it? Let's find out. I get you. Body armor. Alright, let's go. Yeah, for